So, good evening, James.
Good evening, Dan.
Got to have a little bit of an interview update to catch up with you.
Yeah,
Be good for us to know as a church family, how have you and Anna and Ben and Tom been getting on during lockdown? What's life
yeah.
like?
Well, I put this question to them because I thought we'd get it straight out of the horse's mouth. Um, so Tom's comment was that lockdown has been very strange and quite different, but actually quite fun at times. So I think
Okay.
he's quite enjoying it, although he's missing his friends for sure.
Yeah.
Ben, yeah, it's been a really interesting time for Ben because he was supposed to be sitting his exams, and all that kind of stuff evaporated, and especially with the way lockdown happened, he had his kind of last day at school actually a few days before lockdown, but never really went back. So it's been a bit of a funny and strange time for him, and I think he's sort of found that he's almost not known what to do with himself some of the time. You know, there's been some work set by school, but yeah, interesting times. Anna's a frontline worker, as I think probably most people know, and like many of the frontline workers, has been actually far busier. She hasn't had the opportunity to get bored, and I think work's been really demanding for her. Really quite difficult and emotionally draining. But equally on the other hand, she's learned lots of new skills, many of which she'll be able to kind of carry forwards into the future, as I guess we all have. And she's really grateful for the team that she's got there at her work, and the team she's got around her. So as for me, I've been working from home the whole time. My work has also got really busy. We do a lot of work with delivery companies, so for them it's been like Christmas. And then obviously all the adjustments of working from home, where we're normally a pretty close knit team that communicate a lot during the day. So it's been quite an adjustment working from home, and then trying to fit in homeschooling around that as well. So interesting times for sure.
Lots of challenges.
Lots of challenges. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But some good things in amongst all of that as well. Lots of family
Definitely.
time, presumably.
I'm sorry.
Lots of family time together.
Yeah, so that's been really nice. So I've been able to eat lunch, have lunch with the boys and with Anna when she's not at work, and that's just been a nice touch point in the day. And also I wouldn't always get home from work in time to eat with them in the evenings, whereas now I'm around. That's a bit easier. So yeah, there's been definitely some good points. And in general, the pace of life, even though we've been really busy at work, the pace of life outside work has just been much calmer, and I think we've quite enjoyed that, if we're honest.
Good, good. Okay. Now, I'm also really aware that you're 3 years into your curacy.
Yes.
I'm also aware that there's been some kind of changes that you've been sensing God speaking to you about the nature of your kind of role as curate here at St Mark's. And the last 3 years, you've been a real integral part of the leadership team. You've been working essentially 2 days a week for the church on a Wednesday and a Sunday. And we've really valued your input and your support, your wisdom, your teaching, your leading at services, performing occasional offices with baptisms, weddings, and funerals. So, can you kind of just tell us a little bit about kind of what you've been sensing God saying to you about your kind of role as a curate, and what changes you see sort of happening in the next couple of years?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess my position is a little bit different from you and Kim, in that I'm a self-supporting minister. So as I think we've already talked about, I go out to work 4 days a week as a computer programmer, which is completely unrelated, certainly on the surface, to any kind of stuff I do in a ministry capacity as a clergy person. And for so far in my curacy, the last 3 years at St Mark's, I've been really focused on what it means to be based in a parish and to minister in a parish, and do the kind of stuff that you and Kim and Guy, when he was here, were doing day in, day out. But over the last kind of 12-18 months, I've really started to reflect on what it means to be a Christian at work, and particularly someone who's ordained a vicar at work, especially in a place where there is nothing vicarly, certainly on the surface of it, about writing computer code. One of the things that I've come to realize is that I'm not sure I've been necessarily giving that the time and respect that it deserves, and the thought that it deserves. I've been spending so much time and effort thinking about St Mark's and spending time on St Mark's, and particularly with Guy moving on, I'm now supervised by John Duff, who's also been in a very similar position to me as a minister in secular employment. And we've been reflecting together about what it means to be a minister in essentially a secular workplace, and what ministry looks like in that context, and what that means for the whole church and for every Christian who goes out to work. So I really felt that God was prompting me to try and, certainly for the last year of my curacy, what should be the last year of my curacy, to just refocus my thoughts and my efforts a little bit, and maybe not invest quite so much time and effort and energy in the parish ministry, and think a bit more about a workplace ministry, about what that might mean, about what it means for all Christians in the workplace, and start to reflect on that and study that and look into that a bit more. And also give me help me to have the time and energy I need to be that kind of minister of the gospel in what is a very demanding and busy workplace. Because actually kind of biting people's heads off, or putting in the headphones and getting down at the keyboard for 7 hours a day, that's kind of I think our calling is bigger than that.
Yeah, well, that sounds like it's really quite exciting, sensing God calling you to explore and develop something a little bit different to what you have been doing so far.
Yes.
And maybe trying to join together that kind of vocation of being ordained, but also recognizing that you're based in the workplace, and trying to how do those two fit together, and what does that look like? So I'm guessing that means that there's going to be some changes to the kind of the nature of your role as a curate within the context of St Mark's Church, in order to be able to give you the space to try and figure out what that looks like out in the workplace, and what it means to be ordained and work in a job pretty much full time. So what kind of as a church family, what might we notice in the way that you're available and what you do or don't do?
Sure. So I've been having quite a few conversations over the last year, in particular with Bishop Hallinan, and with yourselves, and with the kind of clergy officers in the diocese, to try and work out what a curacy might look like. And in January, we agreed that from July, so from now, my role and my agreement with the parish of St Mark's would take a slightly different shape, so that I would take a step back, if you like, from the midweek activities I've been involved in. And you were saying how I've been working on a Wednesday, I've been coming into church on Wednesdays and being at the meetings and that sort of thing. That I'd take a bit of a step back from that, and take a step back from the staff team, in order to create some space in the week for this sort of reflection and reading and study and prayer and all those sorts of good things. I think in terms of Sundays, to be honest, it's probably not going to make an awful lot of difference. I'm still going to be, we're still going to be coming to church every Sunday, and I will still be preaching and leading services around once a month, that kind of pattern as I have been doing for most of my time at St Mark's. Hopefully I'll notice a change in my preaching, as it will become perhaps a bit more focused on my reflections and things about what it means to be a Christian at work, or in whatever context that might be, whether that's paid employment or or looking after someone, whatever your work or employment context might be. I think that there's a lot of stuff to be thought there for what being a minister of the gospel, being a kind of ambassador for Christ, if you like, in that context means, and I'm hoping that will shape and feed into my preaching. But yeah, certainly on a week-by-week basis, I'm not sure there's going to be very much changing. We're still very much members of St Mark's. We'll be coming every Sunday, and I hope to still be leading worship and preaching.
Brilliant. Well, we're really glad that you're not leaving, moving on. It's really good to hear that God's got a call on your life, and is helping you to work through exactly what that looks like. And it's really good that we as a church can support you in that, and kind of release you to kind of figure out how do I match those two things together, and how do I figure out being ordained and and what that means in the workplace. And we're really blessed to have you at St Mark's, that you and the whole family. We're really blessed by your ministry and encouraged by it, and we want to release you and say that's really good news, and we want to support you in that. It'd be really helpful if we as a church family could be praying for you and for Anna and for Ben and for Tom. So have you got some particular things that we can pray for you at this moment as this kind of change takes place over the summer and you kind of establish a new pattern, a new rhythm in the autumn?
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Dan. It's we're very blessed to be at St Mark's, and I'm very happy that the bishop invited us to come here. So thank you for that as well. I think in terms of prayer points, in the immediate term, there's obviously stuff around the COVID and the situation, and we really value prayers for protection for us as a family. Particularly as Anna goes into the doctor's surgery. I think for the boys, it is a very strange time, and there's more change ahead as we think of the transition to summer holidays and what that's going to look like in lockdown or partial lockdown. And then assuming that schools go back in September, the way that it seems to be heading at the moment, that's going to be another change. And I'm sure that school won't be exactly the same as it was, whatever the arrangements are. There'll be new classes apart from anything else. But, there's talk of staggered start times and I don't know what. So it's just strange, and I think can be quite unsettling. So that would be really good. And then for me specifically, as you said, just as I hopefully after the summer get some time to start to think about what sort of shape of ministry God might be calling me into next. A real key part of being a curate, it is a training post, is to try and discern well what is God, what is God's particular call on me as an ordained person, I guess, but as a Christian at all. So it's really valuable to have this next period of time just to focus on that and try and seek God's particular call and particular sense of what might be next when my curacy comes to an end.
Brilliant. Well, that's really exciting, and thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And we will be praying for you and the family.
Thank you.
And look forward to being able to kind of see each other in person at some stage, hopefully not too far away. But
hopefully not.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us, James. It's been really good.
Thank you, Dan.
And the Lord bless you and Anna particularly at this time. Look forward to hearing from you again soon.
Bless you. Thanks very much. All right. Bye, Dan.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.